Hello, hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Consumer Social Podcast, the show where we talk with builders in the consumer social industry about their learnings, failures, and successes. Today is the second episode, and we're here with Zibu. Zibu, first of all, thank you so much for agreeing to join the podcast. Why don't we start by you introducing yourself? Who are you,
Yeah,
and what have you been up to?
thank you so much for having me. Who am I? I'm Zibo. I grew up in China. I came to the U.S. for high school. Stayed ever since. I was an investor before with a micro pre-seed consumer fund and looked at all the verticals within consumer. And then in 2021, I jumped out, started building in consumer. I built a couple music apps, which turned out to be a terrible space to build in. And now I'm building Sincerely since last October. It's going really well. I'm enjoying the process. Still a lot to figure out. We're still pre-product market fit, so a lot to experiment with.
Phenomenal, phenomenal. You're one of the few people who's been on both sides, seen things from both sides, and this meaning investor and founder. So you have a wide perspective of things. The first thing I wanted to touch on is actually more of housekeeping, because right now consumer social means different things to different people. And one of my goals with this podcast is to consolidate that meaning. So, what does consumer social mean to you personally, if you had to describe it?
Um, what is consumer? This is a great question. And then another question is, what is success for consumer social? Those are all really, really interesting topics. Um, I think within consumer social, there's core consumer social. So the products that derives the most utility out of having your IRL friends on the app with. So apps that require a syncing content book and inviting friends and do all of that. In my opinion, that's core consumer social. It doesn't matter if it's content, is messaging, it doesn't matter the medium. If it requires your actual friends, that's core consumer social. Uh, Weak form of consumer social is interacting with strangers. Doesn't matter if it's anonymous, pseudonymous. Interact with strangers through text or the content that strangers produced. In my opinion, that's weak form consumer social. Uh, Anything other than that, I think you can bucket them into utility or just mess around projects in the marketplace. And then broadly speaking, I guess community also counts, but that's a totally separate topic.
Okay, that's a good separation. Weak consumer social, core consumer social, and then just fucking around essentially.
Yeah, I was going to say that word.
Very
I
very
didn't.
different things. Yeah, thank you. So as I was touching before, and you already covered a little bit of your background, I want to ask you what brought you to consumer and what brought you to consumer social, and if you can also speak about your transition from investing to founding, like what happened there? Why did you want to jump?
Um, there are a couple reasons why I want to be in consumer, and then more specifically, consumer social. Um, One, I've always wanted to be a musician. That's why I started in music. Uh, I've been playing music my whole life. I actually wanted to go to Juilliard. I didn't get through the final round. That's why I'm not a musician. And then in college, I had a band. I actually toured in New York. I really all I want to do in life is be a rock star, but I'm not talented enough, and that dream is probably never gonna get there unless one day I become a billionaire, own a music festival, and then I can be on stage with whoever I want.
Well, if you never
Um,
try, you never know.
I've tried plenty, which is another reason why I'm doing sincerely. Um, but yeah, so music has always been an interest. I think just interacting with people, seeing how a product resonates with people, how it spreads overnight. Like Post Malone's White Iverson. Like if you look at that song as a product, comparing to some of the products that blew up overnight, that kind of magic is very similar. So I've always been interested in, I guess, the cultural impact of consumer products in general. Um, Reason two, my parents are also entrepreneurs, but they're in the boring high tech manufacturing space. So that's what I grew up with, and I
Boring
hated
and
it.
high tech in the same phrase.
To me, it was just very boring. It was machines. It was chips and boards. I never want to be near it. So to me, there was no doubt growing up, like consumer and culture and something cool is what I want to do. Three, why something more social? Doesn't matter if it's core consumer social or weak form social. Uh, I'm also really interested in psychology. I went to school for psychology. Doing experiments is all I did, or looking at videos of other people doing experiments. Uh, I think consumer social products at the very beginning are just mere social experiments that I wholeheartedly agree with Alex at Pearl. And running experiments are fun.
He's going to be one of the guests here soon.
Yeah. So I
Soon.
totally agree with that.
Okay. And about the transition from investing to being a founder, what what do you think are the different sides or the different things in each side that the other side doesn't normally see?
Um, I think, well, again, I wasn't a great investor, so I can't speak for the top tier investors and what they can see. If I had the capital to invest in different data collection products and learn more about, because all the apps are on iOS, and if you pay enough for Scissor Tower or Data AI or other platforms, you see enough, and their estimates are not fairly accurate, but in terms of ratios and trends, like roughly right. Um, I also didn't have the breadth of collecting data, historical data, and current data by talking to thousands of consumer founders and seeing what they've up to, what they've tried, and data at a certain stage. If I'm Andreessen or Lightspeed, I'm sure they've mapped everything out. So as an investor, I have to say, like, I just don't have a complete sense, and I wasn't great. But what I really didn't know is the meaning behind zero point 0.1 percentage point. Um, because as an investor, you're like, why isn't your day 30 at 25% instead of 20%? Why aren't you growing at 100% month over month instead of 110% a month over month? But when you start building, you realize even moving it by 1% or 0.1% is really, really, really hard. And that might just be a small number on an Excel sheet or on a memo. But for founders, that's 10 mistakes, failed trials, uh, and a lot of heartache to move that 1%. I think that was the biggest mismatch. And what I don't think the founder knows, um, I think within the consumer space, it's just the bar is really high. Like it is really high. Um, and the bar changes, obviously. The bar changes for fundraising. For instance, in 2021, 2020, it was just really easy. You can raise with a PowerPoint. Um, and now obviously you can't. But the bar for an actual success, like actually successful company, has never changed. If anything, it's gotten harder. I think that's what founders don't realize. Yes, you can raise a lot of money and sell secondary and get rich, but that is not the standard or the sign of a successful company. And to me, right now, that's really clear. The bar is just that high. It's hard to fundraise right now because this is the requirement for future successful company.
It does seem to be way more binary than most other industries. Like in terms of
Yeah,
success and failure, there's very little middle ground in consumer social right now.
yeah, or I guess consumer in general. Like consumer CPG is done. It's not venture backable anymore. Marketplace is also really tough. And then for anything consumer, there's an issue of yes, you have product market fit for a period of time for a certain group of people, for a certain size of user amount. And once you have to grow into adjacent market, you might lose the product market fit. I mean, we see that time and time and time again. Clubhouse, Whisper, in the same case for marketplaces. Once you get to that stage, to me, that's successful. I mean, you built something that clearly hit product market fit for a group of people.
People
Um,
want it.
But is that enough to be a $1 billion company and go IPO and realize all the returns for investors and shareholders? I don't know. That's a question I think about a lot. But for most of my friends, our main objective is get to product market fit first.
Yep. The holy grail, the holy grail product market fit. How do
I just want to
you
say
got
that
you
once
got to
a
start
month.
somewhere to get the product market fit. How did you get your first 1,000 users for Sincerely?
I just put it in my old startup's Discord channel.
And you got the users right away, so they just converted.
Yeah, I just made an announcement. I DM'd people. It was like, come on, I made a new app. I think you will like it. Because I already know them. I talk to them every day. Like they when they have bugs, they come to me for my last app. So I already know them. We're internet friends. And yeah, that's pretty much how. And then I make some TikTok. People came in. Yeah, the first 1,000. Yeah, that's how we got them.
Okay,
It's
nice.
also a much more retained product. So
So through a community that you already had.
yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
good. But at some point, you were doing a ton of TikToks. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I
And
am
those
still.
were sort of working, right? In terms of
Mm,
acquisition.
yes, but I just changed my approach to TikTok.
Oh, I want to hear about
Um,
that.
um, Before I was taking a quantity over quality approach, so I can make 6 to 8 TikTok videos every day across 3 accounts. Each will take sometimes 5 minutes, sometimes 10 minutes max. Um, but it's the same format that doesn't work anymore. I was just trying, like I wasn't putting a lot into it. My hypothesis around it was like, okay, I have 3 accounts. I don't really need to drill into it. I tried different format, quantity of wins. Eventually, I hit the jackpot, and then it will bring the rating for the account up, and then I've got it. I've been doing that for the past 3 months for Sincerely. Yes, we get some winners, but those are not replicable. If the format is not replicable, it doesn't matter. And viewers get really, really bored at it. Yes, you can have a viral video and people like it, but they're not following you, or they're following you for the wrong reason. If you doesn't become, if you don't have a reason for TikTok users to follow you, then you kind of failed. So when they think about life advice or mental health tips, or difficult situation or giving advice, my goal now is to make videos and remind them that I'm here when they think about those topics. And it's kind of a reverse engineering. Like if I'm a teen and I have these kind of interests, what kind of videos would I want to see? And then reverse engineer it and somehow plug Sincerely into it in the most subtle way possible. And I was taking a lot more like high quality production approach. Batch recording, I'm scripting it again, um, editing in CapCut actually on my computer, with lighting, with different effects, stickers, just trying a totally different approach now. I don't know if it's gonna work. I'll let you know in a month.
Okay, perfect. I was about to ask how's it working, but yeah, let me know in a month.
Yeah.
And you've touched on some of the things you failed at, some of the things you learned. If you were to go back, like if you were to start now, what are 3 things you're really happy that you already know?
Three things that I'm really happy that I already know. One, keep it simple. Actually, my co-founder just texted me that. We should probably make it simpler. Um,
Shout out to your co-founder.
and Yeah, keep it simple. Keep it really, really, really simple. Periodically examine the app cohesively. Go through onboarding. Go through day one, day two, day three. Make sure it's cohesive, but still very, very simple and easy to digest. Even even after I learned it, you still make the same mistake with certain updates. So that's one. Two, um, don't build music. I think I'm
Okay,
really happy that I learned that
that
now.
is very specific.
Um, Music is passion. I guess it is my biggest passion, but it's just inherently a really, really tough business environment to build. Well, no, a market to build in. Um, I don't know if you saw, but Spotify just released the TikTok feed where you
Yep.
can explore this playlist. That's pretty much what we're doing. Um, and the fact that in music you have to rely on Spotify and Apple Music or someone else's API just makes it so much harder and riskier. Um, I always knew that was a risk. What if Spotify did it? What if Apple Music did it? What if Spotify cut off API
I mean,
access?
exactly. What if they just cut out the API? As simple as that.
Yeah, and I'm glad that I'm out of that space. Um, Three, what am I happy that I know now? Um, this is something that I'm still learning, but I think storytelling still works in consumer. Because at the end of the day, if you're really well, we're all aiming for the moon. We want to be that generational product. To be that generational product, you're part of the culture. You're part of the consumer culture, um, and that requires branding. And what's behind branding is really storytelling. Um, that's a skill most founders don't have, but it's really, really important in consumer. It's just really important. I think the difference between B Real and Locket is just B Real is part of the culture and Locket is not. Even though I like Locket more. Um, and whether storytelling is something you can learn or just hire people to help you with, I don't know. I'm trying my best, but storytelling on the level of brand, down to the level of product, down to the level of each launch, that's such a valuable skill.
And you're talking about storytelling, like user facing storytelling, right?
User facing storytelling or through content, through partnership. It's just a lens of you viewing the world and how you deliver the product to the world. Um, I mean, I think Nikita is awesome at storytelling. It's just he has a persona on Twitter. Gas tells a very cohesive story. The account tells a very cohesive story. It's really hard. I don't think a lot of my peers are that great at it. Um, and that's a necessary step to be that number one.
I mean, in a lot of ways, storytelling is a mix of being good with humans. Period. You have to be a master at information architecture. You have to be a master at just general communication. You have to be a master at visual communication. You have to master so many things to be able to do proper communication, proper storytelling at scale. Because that's the difficult part. Talking to someone, that's kind of easier in some ways. But doing it in a way that is scalable, replicable, like good luck with that.
It's
You
hard, but that's a skill worth mastering
Yeah, because the thing is, if you
throughout.
want to make a video that makes a bank, sure, you give $1 million to some creative agency and they'll do it for you. But good luck sustaining a business that way.
Exactly. Um, it's really hard. I'm trying to figure that out for myself right now.
And in terms of, I got a kind of heavy question that every time I ask it to someone, their face tells a lot. What has been your biggest failure in consumer social so far? And the reason I ask this question, I'm going to ask it to everyone that comes on podcast, is that it seems to me like people who are inside the industry knows that everyone has failed a ton, but people from the outside don't necessarily know that, and that detracts them from getting in and from feeling good or at least less bad when their first product fails or when their first attempt fails, whatever that is. So I'm trying to show that it is normal to fail in this industry and that people learned a lot and then succeeded. So what was your what failure do you want to talk about?
What failure do I want to talk about? What failure do I want to talk about? Um, I don't think there was. I wouldn't
Okay,
say the word failure. I really don't.
nice. Walk me through it. Why don't you think there was a failure you can pinpoint?
I mean, to me, in consumer social, there are two stages: one, post-product market fit; two, pre-product market fit. Um, most of the people, most of the people I know, all of the product I've built are pre-product market fit. So, am I failing? I don't know. I mean, I'm having fun. We're growing. So I wouldn't call it failure. Did Decibel work, or the music app that I had before worked? They worked to a certain extent, but it was still pre-product market fit, just with a lot less people. Um, the only thing I sort of regret it, but I also don't, is that I should have shut it down earlier. I had
Okay,
the gut
so a,
feeling.
faster pivot.
Well, we were already pivoting, but I was thinking about just getting out of the music space. I already had that feeling in May, but we shut it down in September. However, without those 4 months of not knowing what's coming, internal turmoil, um, I wouldn't have met the people who are on this journey with sincerely with me today. So everything happens for a reason. I don't think it's a failure. I mean, this process is painful, anyways. I tend to forget about the painful things. Um, so yeah, if you ask me that, I don't remember. Have we
Perfect.
made it?
I think last podcast ended with Gabriel from Bubble
Yeah,
saying you got to learn to love the pain, something along those lines.
yeah. Well, you. I don't think you have to love it. I mean, nobody likes pain. You just you get better and better at it. You just keep on getting better at dealing with pain. The ability to get up the next day, or the ability to know that it's going to pass, and the ability to just fuck around for 2 hours and know that you will feel better afterwards, or know that what you can do to get out of that state and get out of that state faster. Do I love it? No, I don't love it. I mean, I wish I could grow 100% day over day, but it's not possible.
Who
Uh,
doesn't?
yeah, so um,
And
yeah,
what
the
is
failure.
one what is one leaving the failures, no failures behind? What is one moment you're particularly proud of? Like it doesn't need to be a big milestone for the company, but something that for you was like, hell yeah, I made this.
So for sincerely, we're targeting teens. Most of our users are 13 to 17. Like 65% are 13 to 17-year old. 25%, 35% are like 18 to 24. The second user generated TikTok for us was actually made by a lady, I'm assuming in her 60s. Um, that was a really wholesome moment. I don't know how she came across it. Maybe her grandkids told her about it. It was a really raw video with like 4 likes, but that to me was quite magical. That to me was like, wow. I don't know how
Seeing
this
that
happened.
your product helped someone that you could never picture.
At the back of our mind, we've always pictured Sincerely to be like a product everyone can use. That's how we sort of design it. Um, but seeing that organically without any targeting, any effort, someone appreciates it. Um, but I guess another thing is when I use the product myself, I read letters because I put my age group to the older ones. I just want to see what older people are saying. Um, some of the stories are just really touching. And having a peek into people's emotional state of being in such a raw and vulnerable way, it's touching. Like that's the artsy side of me, and that's why sincerely is what it is.
A very emotional, proud point. I love it.
Yeah.
And so this TikTok of the lady, so she just posted on TikTok about how the app was helping her. Was that it?
No, it was like a 5-second video. Like she stitched or green screen the app with the video and just say, you guys need to check this out. I've been using it for a couple of days and I love it.
That looks like paid advertising.
Yeah, but it was 4 likes. I don't know who she is. She doesn't know who I am. Sometimes internet is magical in that way that it just connects people.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Yeah, if you can replicate that all the time, then boom, you have $1 billion company.
Okay. And speaking of billion-dollar companies, because that's for the future. Well, what do
Yeah.
you think the future of social looks like? Where are we heading?
The future of social. If I say I know, that would be a lie because I would have been building it. um, to preface everything else, we don't necessarily view Sincerely as a social app, so I don't know if I fit into this podcast theme.
You do fit in this podcast. Trust me. We are 26 minutes in, and I couldn't be more glad. So, you do fit in.
But that's not how our users describe the app, which is kind of the way we designed it and kind of reflects how teens are evolving, or their definition of social apps are evolving. We did a super simple survey, 2 questions. One is Sincerely a social app. Two is Sincerely a mental wellness app. 55% said yes to the first question, but 100% said yes to the second question. So
Oh,
our angle is still to be more of the mental wellness space, to be that safe harbor for teens growing up. But back to the point on social, I think teens crave authenticity. I mean, that's just always the case. Uh, I'm sensing that teens are even getting bored of TikTok because, well, the formula. I mean, everyone's following the same formula. There are 50 hooks you can use. Get the one first 1 to 2 seconds. I'm doing that too. And then here a 2 second cut. Blah blah blah. Like at a certain point, teens are going to start doing pattern recognition, and they're going to be like, "I know exactly what you're doing here. You're trying to manipulate me." And I think the younger folks are already catching on to it. Um, so I think authenticity in another way might not be video. It could be something else. It's definitely a major trend. AI, I'm not sure. I mean, if we go down the dark pattern, yes, there is a huge opportunity for AI, and we can go down that, which I'm not sure if this is appropriate for this podcast. You can make a lot of money there, um, but for the company mission, we probably won't do that. Uh, AI assisted content, they all feel kind of gimmicky at the moment, more like a one-off thing. I don't see like a habitual loop yet. Um, we might work on something in that field, but it still requires a lot of time. And teens, this is also research we're doing because we eventually want to build our own AI mentor. Are teens ready for it? I don't know. Some people are really, really into it. Like some people they even commented underneath one of my TikTok video and said, just make a comfort self on characters.ai. And it got a lot of likes.
okay. So
You
the
know,
need is
it's
there.
the future.
What I'm sensing in terms of AI is that there are a lot of applications that people actually want.
Like what type of application?
For example, I think Snapchat's companion chat, the
Yeah.
AI one, I think it's going to be a success, both for the company in terms of bottom line and for the users. Now, is it going to be an amazing social thing? I don't know. I'm not qualified to know whether that is going to be net positive or net negative for someone who uses it a lot. But I know that people will want to use it, that specific feature, and that it will be good for Snapchat's bottom line.
Yeah. I think everyone's going to have it. It's just, it's all going to be on GPT-4. OpenAI slash Microsoft are going to make a lot of money. Um, we one day probably will have it. Your next app is probably going to have it. This AI chatbot thing is going to be everywhere. People are going to get used to it. Um, Surprisingly, I just did a survey in our Discord server. Let me look at the result. I asked people, "Have you used ChatGPT?" And around 60 people replied. 40% said yes, 60% no, said no. Um, so I think we still have some ways to go. I would
Well,
have
yeah,
assumed.
there's a lot of ground to cover still.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
so I assumed that everyone would be using ChatGPT for homework, but I guess not yet. But
You're
it's,
just too online.
yeah, yeah. But this space is evolving really, really fast. I don't know. I don't know.
Okay,
Plus,
so we have AI, we have the dark path of AI, the good path of AI. We have social becoming more. What was the word you used?
authentic.
Authentic, and
Um,
and any other trend you're seeing?
well, virtual pets is certainly a trend. I don't have a stand on it. I think it's really cool. I mean, it has been a thing in the past. It always comes back. Does it have the staying power in a year or two? I don't know. Uh, Crypto for adults, maybe. For teens, nah, just it's not there. Um, Games as social network, it's absolutely possible, but I'm not super into games. Plus, using games as social network requires a lot more than just casual games. Well, hyper casual games. Um, but yeah, I guess I'm right now two heads down.
Okay,
Insincerely, in
games are an extremely interesting category, and we can cover that in some other episodes, some other podcasts. I don't know. For now, our time is up. I really want to thank you for being here. Let the people know where can they find you, where can they find your work.
Yeah, so if you're on iOS, please try out Sincerely. Just search it up. We're in the books category because it's based on was letters. Um, and to find me, I'm just on Twitter. If you type in Zibo Gao, you'll be able to find me.
Okay, that's perfect. So thank you for tuning in to the second episode of the Consumer Social Podcast. I'll see you on the next one. Zibu, thank you so much.
Thank you.